Good morning and happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July.
Baseball, apple pie, and the 4th of July.
That's just what I was going to say, besides fireworks. Besides fireworks and all those parades that you'll be going to today, even if it's lousy weather. I mean, get out there and have a good time,
Supposed to be
right?
nice, they say.
Oh, good. Okay, and eating all those hot dogs and the corn on the cob. There is another American tradition, which is baseball, and we just happen to have with us this morning the voice of the Tigers. The voice is also a person named, of course, you know, Ernie Harwell, and we want to welcome you this morning for being with us. We're real happy to have you here.
Hey, it's great to be here. I'm looking forward to being with you.
And I bet you're looking forward to the game this afternoon, too, because they won yesterday.
They did.
When they played
right.
the Toronto.
And tonight they're going to play Toronto.
And going to win.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ernie, you know, players have to come up in the minor leagues, and so do announcers. How did you get your start?
Well, I started out in Atlanta with the old Atlanta Crackers. I really started at WSB in Atlanta doing a sports show, and then when I got out of the Marines after 4 years in the Marine Corps, I went back to Atlanta and became the voice of the Atlanta Crackers. And I stayed there from 1947 and 6. And in 1948, I was traded by the Atlanta Crackers to the Brooklyn Dodgers. They traded,
You
right?
were traded.
I was traded. What happened was that Red Barber became sick. He was doing the Dodger games, and in August, Mr. Rickey sent down to Atlanta to summon me to Brooklyn, and my boss was Earl Mann, who owned the ball club. And he said, well, I'll let Ernie Harwell go to Brooklyn if you'll send me your catcher from Montreal, Cliff Dapper. So I went up there and took Red's place while he was ill. And the next year, Cliff Dapper came to Atlanta and became the manager of the Atlanta Crackers.
That is a funny story.
Yeah,
You're probably one of the few announcers ever traded.
Traded.
I guess so.
And you've been with the Tigers now?
Since 1960. I came here in 1960.
Since 60. Well, you remember in the 60s, what year was it that Jose Feliciano did that national anthem, that very controversial way?
I remember it well.
I'll bet you do. Now, that was 68?
It was the fifth game of 1968 World Series.
68, yeah. Well, you know, when I was in Las Vegas earlier this year, I got a chance to talk to him, and so I asked him about that. And we'd like to show you a little bit about that right now.
Fine.
Jose, what happened in 1968 in Detroit?
Well, in 1968, I had the pleasure of doing the national anthem. I say the pleasure because Ernie Harwell is a very dear friend of mine, and he invited me to do the national anthem for the Detroit Tigers. Now, I do want to stress that prior to me coming to do the national anthem to Detroit, the Tigers were losers, man. They were losers. They were losing. And they were not doing good at all. As a matter of fact, their record was the St. Louis Cardinals had won 3 games, and Detroit was down to zip. And we came in 1968, and we caused so much controversy that the Tigers went out and won the World Series.
How did you cause the controversy, though?
Well, we did the national anthem, and I never thought it would cause a controversy. I just went out there and sang it, you know.
You did it your way.
Yeah.
How was it? How did you flourish it up?
Well, I didn't flourish it. I did something that I feel really not too many singers do to the anthem, and that's put any feeling into it. To them, it's okay, another game. Another time to do the anthem, okay, you know, and then they do it, and I was happy to do it because it was my way of expressing myself to this country, and of course, when it happened, because of the adverse reaction, we got a lot of radio stations turned us off.
Oh yes, for how long? For long, they don't still have you.
CKLW.
Oh, but not still though. That was just temporary.
Well, that was
it?
temporary for about 3 years, and that's
kidding.
No, it's really.
Long?
I guess that's why, in a lot of ways, as a performer, sometimes I get into trouble because I tell it like it is. I don't believe in knuckling down under lies or, you know. And for about 3 years or so, the stations were really, really merciless to me. They were
in our area.
In the Detroit area. However, when I did the Chico and the Man theme and things started happening again, they turned us on again. But it was really a hard road for me. It was like being under 6 feet of dirt and trying to claw your way out, you know. It was just very rough.
And yet you still felt that you did the right thing at the time. You didn't have regrets about having done what you did.
No, I have no regrets because I really, I don't know if I would do it over again, but now that it's done, I have no regrets. I did what I wanted to do. And if being a patriot means that you don't please everybody, well, then the heck with it, because I really dig the United States. I don't know of any place where somebody from a minority like myself can come, grow up, go to school with American kids, and then become something. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, those broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran clear, the bombs bursting in air. They gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and all the free and the home of the brave? Yeah.
And that's what people got so upset about in 1968. Looks a little different to us now, but how did people react that
Well,
day?
they
Ernie?
reacted, Cathie, fairly violently, I'd say. There was a lot of phone calls to the ballpark, the radio stations and the TV stations all over the country. The switchboards lit up. The New York Times had a page one, three-column
something?
picture down at the bottom about all the reaction. And it was just something that you couldn't believe.
Saying what? What were the charges? Why
Well,
were
the
they
charges,
so-
there were all kind of reactions. Some people were in favor of it. They liked the way that he expressed himself. A lot of people said that he was unpatriotic. It was a
Sure.
hippie doing it, and he was desecrating the national anthem and desecrating the flag and everything else. And I think what happened, that it was the times we were in. It was a time of rebellion, and a lot of people were reacting to that, and they saw Jose out there with dark glasses on. Naturally,
Yeah.
he wears dark glasses.
Sure.
Playing the guitar, which is a symbol of hippieism, and doing the national anthem a little bit differently than it had ever been done before. You know, it wasn't Kate Smith or Robert Merrill, and they just reacted to it.
Ernie, that was 1968. We had a world champion on our hands in Detroit. 1978, 10 years later, we saw a season that started off looking pretty good. We're now about halfway through, very close to it. We're 15 and a half games out in 5th place behind Boston. We're 4 games behind 4th place Baltimore. What's happened?
Well, what happened, I think, is that the Tigers did start well. Everybody was hitting the ball well in the clutch, and we were getting pretty good pitching. And then they all went into a slump where nobody hit the ball when they had to. And the big problem with the Tigers has been they get hits, but they don't score runs. And part of that is due to poor base running, number one, and second, the lack of the big hit, which you have to win.
Poor base running. That, they say, has a lot to do with coaching. Do you agree?
I think it does to some extent, but I think the main burden has to be put on the player himself. There are many times when you're out there and the coach can't help you. You've got to sink or swim on your own. Now, the coach in certain areas can help, but basically, I'd say you'd have to blame the runner.
Well, you know what you're talking about, Ernie.
I doubt it.
No, this man
Yes.
knows. In fact, he has a little trivia book to prove it.
That's right.
And
I have it
when we
right
come
here in
back,
my hand.
We're going to chat more about the trivia book, but right now,
I better
why don't you
ask
give
you
me
a question. All right, you two, I'm going to ask you an easy question.
All right.
okay.
Okay, now you know George Kell, my good friend that
Yep.
I came here to work with. He
Right.
now does the TV games. What player did George Kell replace
Oh.
when he came here to play third base?
You don't know that?
No, I do not know that.
You remember that was 1946?
That's why I don't remember it.
Dating myself again. They did it to me again, folks.
You know it?
1946.
No, what's the answer?
I've been reading up on my baseball history, 1946.
Don't tell me you know the answer.
Is Johnny Outlaw and Higgins. Mike Higgins?
Hey, all right. See there? One of us knows it.
That's right. Okay, all right. Now, we're going to give everyone, I feel like a fool here. We're going to give everyone a chance to play a little baseball trivia with Ernie Harwell. Now, Ernie has put together a book along with another gentleman by the name of
Fred Smith.
Fred Smith, and here it is. It's called Tiger Trivia. You can win one of these books very shortly if you call us up at 298-6000, and Ernie will play a little Tiger Trivia with you. However, the only way you can get involved in Tiger Trivia is if you have a question of your own, a general question about the Tigers to Ernie. Call us up at 298-6000. We'll be back in a moment.